Good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday morning. Now, you guys know I run 24 hours behind. So as I'm taping this, it's Friday morning, and no, we have no power yet. I was excited because I had been told we were going to have it by, I think it was today at midnight, but then this notice came clearly saying that it will not be now, probably until Sunday. I can't believe it. It was too good to be true. I knew it. So I'll let you guys know on Monday. Now, I'm going to show you this light. Multiple people have asked how I've been charging my phone. At first, I was using this. This is a light I picked up at Costco. You can charge it in the wall, or you see the top, it's solar. So you sit it out in the sun all day, and then there's a thing on the back there where you can plug your phone in. This is one of the best lights, and it's super bright, and it lasts a really long time. So go get one. We have two big stories that have come out in the last recent days, and that's what we're going to cover today. So let's jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. Really quickly, I just want to touch on this article. Instead of doing a pap walk, I think this is the kind of stuff that's going on. Meghan Markle spans fan frenzy with fun choice and never-been-seen photo. And there's a picture of her that was posted by a Jamaican musician, and everybody's like, oh, look at her dress. It's a fan frenzy. Yeah, see, I think she called him up because this was taken in January. Why would you release it now? Get it? And by the way, that dress she's wearing is over 5,000 pounds. That's like a $7,000 dress, not including her purse, which was like $500, and her earrings were like $700. So she's wearing like $7,000 worth of stuff. Yeah, moving on. All right, this is one of the two stories for today that I wanted to cover. An article came out saying that Harry, remember he was in New York and he talked about the African parks and he never mentioned the Baka or any of the stuff that's going on with the tribes people. And so they're saying, what's being said is that he took part in a, quote, outrageous rallying call on behalf of African Parks Project in New York amid all of these allegations, and that he was promoting racist and colonialism. Remember, Harry is still on the board of directors, even though he's been called to resign, and even though there's an investigation going on. Archwell Foundation actually described Harry's contribution to the New York event by saying, quote, the Duke connected African Parks' mission to his broader philanthropic vision, highlighting how their strategic approach aligns with his goals for sustainable change. But Harry did not address the Baka or the racism or colonialism that was implied. Let me remind you, had the Queen lived, and I've said this so many times, had she lived long enough to see this Netflix docuseries, which was pretty much done being filmed by the time they went to the Queen's funeral, she would have been horrified that Harry and Meghan branded her life's work Empire 2.0. Richard Eden said himself that the couple were lucky that the Queen never watched their special because she would have been horrified. People forget that the Commonwealth is a voluntary organization. You can leave at any time. But in the documentary, they say it's used by Britain to extract money and resources from the rest of the world. Remember, in the Netflix docuseries, it was just horrible. Britain was colonialism and racism. And remember, when Harry and Meghan were still part of the royal family before their 1 year, period was up where they had to make a decision, Meghan actually gave speeches to people where she talked about, we're going to have uncomfortable conversations. We're going to have to be uncomfortable for a while. Blah, blah, blah. All while she was head of like the Commonwealth, the president, vice president of the Commonwealth, her and Harry. And they basically laid the whole thing at the royal family's feet. That's what they did. And it does say that the filming finished weeks before the Queen passed away. So they were planning all this, thinking that the Queen was going to be alive to see it. How horrible is that? When Meghan first married, she wore a veil that had all the different symbols on her veil that, covered all the Commonwealth countries. She was a major in international relations. All about this information she apparently had when she married Harry. But somehow, as soon as things didn't go her way, suddenly it's Britain is, terrible. What they suggested was that Britain calculated that it granted these countries independence in a way so that it protected their commercial and capital interest. So it created this privileged club called the Commonwealth. It's a club of friends who share common values, and that language is problematic. What? Listen, these people can leave anytime they want. But a lot of people clapped back and said, thank God, first of all, the Queen didn't have to watch this, which is exactly what Dan Wooten said. And these comments that people put up were right on spot. I mean, Harry said, in a family, sometimes you're part of the problem rather than part of the solution. And there's a lot of unconscious bias. And the thing with unconscious bias is that it's really nobody's fault. But obviously, Meghan said, everyone is aware of my race because they made it an issue when I went to the UK. And before that, I was never really treated black. Completely ignoring the fact she didn't tell anybody she was of partial black heritage. Her own manager said he thought she was part Italian. So what it comes down to is that Harry and Meghan got Netflix to tell people that, the Queen was personally responsible for the racism and colonialism, but, it's okay what Harry's doing with African parks. You get it? At the time, a new nation had just joined the Commonwealth, and they spoke up and said to think that we would blindly just jump in, basically, to suggest we are foolish, we feel patronized by these remarks. We entered last year with our eyes wide open, and we did it to take our place. You know what I'm saying? So people are hitting back at it. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our second story for today. We know that we saw William and David Beckham, looking at the RAF new helicopters, the new rescue helicopters, and they were laughing and they seemed to be getting along really well. But what we do know is that David Beckham and his wife Victoria have totally distanced themselves from Harry and Meghan. David and Victoria were really, really, really good friends to Meghan when she and Harry first got together. First of all, they gave Meghan use of an Italian-style villa in the city with staff in Los Angeles when she first returned. And then after Meghan moved into Nottingham Cottage, at Kensington Palace, Victoria gave her advice on makeup, and a member of Victoria's staff gave Meghan help on facials and hairdressing, all completely free of charge. David was a longtime friend of Harry and William's, but somehow it leaked to the press and Meghan was outraged. Of course, the Beckhams, who are very private people, denied that they leaked anything, but that was the end of Harry and Meghan's relationship with them, basically. We do know that the Beckhams went to Harry and Meghan's wedding, but they were not invited to the evening reception. And David agreed at Harry's request to then fly to Australia, where Harry was hosting the Invictus Games. It was a 22-hour trip from London to Sydney. And then when he got there, Harry refused to see him. And we found out later on through Tom Bauer that Meghan didn't want the competition. And she said that there was to be the two were not to meet. She banned David. But the final straw for them was that they put great importance on family and they were very unimpressed by the attacks on the royal family. And now, of course, it's coming out that Victoria Beckham, who apparently is a very good judge of character, never really liked Meghan. And that's another reason why they have ditched Harry. So with all of these pictures coming out now of David smiling and laughing with William and with David with the king, they're saying that the Beckhams have not tried to stay in touch with the Sussexes after everything that they've done. So, listen, they had to pick a camp. They picked their choice. They made their choice. Here's what I think happened. I think Meghan didn't want the competition. She leaked all that stuff to the press. Then she acted outraged, and that's how she was able to separate Harry from the Beckhams. Do I think she regrets it now? Yes, I think she does. After all, their son was married. There was a huge star-studded wedding that they were not invited to, that a lot of other people were invited to. David now has bought a football club. All these fabulous things are going on. Victoria's fashion house. And Meghan could have been a part of it all. But she's now on the outs. So now we're hearing that she's trying to get back in with the Beckhams by wearing some of Victoria's outfits and trying to, do nice things. The Beckhams are not stupid. There's no way in heck that Victoria and David are ever going to let them back into their inner circle. All right, you guys, hopefully by Monday, I'll have power and I'll have good news for you. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and go down into the description box where you'll find the link to video number 2. Let's go. bye.